Is anything happening? Hello. Hi there. Hello, you. And welcome to our first edition of the Chat Batch with me, your streaming pal, Jamie Stangroom. Sorry if you just had like 30 seconds of nothing, because the thing my end didn't show me the thing that should be happening your end. So I don't know if that thing did happen your end or not, but I know for sure either way there was definitely some awkward silence and awkward blackness on the screen as well. But we are here. This is the first edition of the Chat Batch. And I should say that the name was given by Sidge on last week's edition of the Geeknd Live. So thank you, Sidge. I took your choice, the Chat Batch. And we'll be doing this every Monday now, looking back at the most recent Bad Batch episode that dropped on the Friday previous, and we will chat about it. If you're new to this channel, then welcome to the Geeknd, where we make content on Star Wars, Marvel, and more. And when we do live streams, they tend to be pretty interactive. So this chat about the Bad Batch, the Chat Batch, is not just me. It's not just my guests. I will have different guests on each week. It's also you as well in the live chat, also in the future, watching on the replay, in the comments as well. We are all together, the Chat Batch. Thank you, Sidge. Now, this week's guests are two men responsible for probably Britain's greatest Star Wars podcast. Now, that is their own words. It's literally on their website, but it is a rather good Star Wars podcast straight out of the UK. I can confirm that. They are friends of the channel. It's the Star Wars Sessions podcast. It is Luke Blywalker and it is Jabba the Hutt. Matt, so welcome both. Good to have you back on the Geeknd.
Thank you, mate. Glad to be back again.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Can we just... I just want to shout out Luke Summerfield, who's like... I think they're late because Luke was having a Nando's.
It wasn't half.
This guy,
I saw that in the chat. Yeah, hang on. Let me find this message for you. So we bring everybody up to speed. Can't find it, but it was a message in the chat from Luke. Yeah, accusing the lateness in your direction. Really, he was putting it in your direction, Luke.
How dare he?
Well, kind of accurate. Just the wrong fast food chain.
Yeah.
Here we go. I found the accusation.
He's loving it.
Kind of right though, Luke. Kind of right. Right. Thank you both for joining me again, and hello to those who are in the chat. Hello, Ant. Hello, Clays, who's confirming there was no intro. So did we have 30 seconds of darkness?
I had Jamie Stangroom.
Your face is staring straight through my soul.
Like,
it was
very pensive.
Oh, was I on screen for the entire thing?
It was like it was a headshot type thing.
Wow, so it was just me in silence. Did everybody experience that, or you guys? Maybe you guys have seen something different to people watching. Anyway, apologies for that. I actually made my own countdown video, especially for the Chat Batch. Didn't work, so we'll have to try it again next week. I'm not gonna put you through it now. Hello to Anders as well. The artist previously known as Sanely Red on YouTube. Good stuff. Getting your second vaccine shot today. Chad Campbell is here as well. Chad the Stopwatch Campbell. Glenn, the geeky hippie, the fully vaccinated geeky hippie, I know, is here, as is Gaz Nottingham. I can see Jamie Armstrong Hitchings is in the house. Luke, 1/4 portion, who has been unleashing accusations, is now accusing Vigo of flirting with him in the background there. You've got to calm down with all these accusations. I think I've covered everybody in the chat. And also get well soon to Jane's wife, who is poorly at the moment. Right. We are here to talk about the Bad Batch episode 2, Cut and Run. Now, this is going to be a deep dive chat. The reason I'm doing these on a Monday is to give more people a chance to see the episode and to join us. So we will get into spoilers, but first of all, before we get deep and dirty with the deets and the spoilers, Matt and Luke, what were your overall spoiler-free thoughts and feelings towards episode 2, Cut and Run? Matt, let's start with you.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a solid episode. I thought it set us up pretty nicely for where we're going to go. The characters got a bit more development, which is all I want to see each and every episode. Even if we don't do a lot, at least progress the characters a bit. So for me, I thought it was decent.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same, Jamie. Obviously, this isn't our debut episode. There's not quite as much going on. There's not as much time. The running time's obviously a lot shorter. I still really liked it. I still think this is a really strong start to the series. And I'm a sucker for those kind of like off the grid kind of stories. Like I love the chapter 4 of The Mandalorian. A lot of people who listen to podcasts know that about me. So yeah, I like this episode, man. It was good.
And just to get a bit of background on you both in terms of your hopes and dreams for this series, or at least the level of excitement you were at before it started, because this is actually the first. I missed episode 1 in terms of doing this stream. So had. I'll admit, and people watching the stream know this. The regulars know this. That I've recently just pretty much binged the Clone Wars. I'm kind of new to this side of Star Wars, if you like. Really enjoyed the Clone Wars. Still not as excited for this as I would be for a new Star Wars movie or a new series of The Mandalorian. But still, on the other hand, The Mandalorian season 2 feels like it was a decade ago. You know, you look at all the MCU stuff that's been coming out on the Star Wars side, it does feel like we've been in a bit of a famine. So all Star Wars is welcome Star Wars right now. So how did you guys, that's my opinion, how did you guys feel coming into the Bad Batch? Were you counting down the days, or have you been a bit more chilled about it?
For me, when it was first announced, it was one of those things that I thought, okay. It felt to me a bit like the Solo announcement. I don't want to rip on Solo loads because I really do enjoy that film, but I appreciate it feels like probably Luke Skywalker rips on Solo a lot. But it did feel like Solo, where I was like, well, why this? Out of all the things you can make a show on, we're making it about these guys back in this era again. So at first, the truth is I was a bit indifferent about it, maybe leaning more toward negative. And now we've got it, or the lead up to it, I was thinking, actually, I'm being a bit more sold on this. I'm a bit more hyped to this. And actually, a lot of the listeners, a lot of our podcast community, shout out to the Star Wars Sessions community, really got me more excited for this, because we're exploring territory that really we've never explored. Outside of books and comics and stuff, something to sit down and watch, just after Revenge of the Sith. This is quite unusual. And it's taken me by surprise a little bit, to be honest. What about you, Mayboy or Jamie?
Yeah, I was exactly the same as Blywalker. That when it was announced, it just felt a bit. What are we going to do with this? The Bad Batch I thought were pretty cool in the Clone Wars, are good for a 4-episode arc, but a multi-season show covering them, running around, blowing things up, and cracking wise jokes everywhere. I thought, I'm not really into that. But the closer we got to the premiere, I started to get a bit more excited when they dropped the promo materials. When we realized the premiere was going to be 70 minutes long, we thought, right, we're up to something here. And like Luke said, it's in an era we haven't really touched upon, certainly this aspect. What happened to those millions of clones after Revenge of the Sith? What happened after they'd just committed Jedi genocide? Did they just go back to normal? How did it happen? How did the Empire transition from the Republic and everything? So the closer we got, the more excited I got. The first episode I thought was really solid. I watched it again, thought it was great. And this episode also goes to show just how well they transition stuff. So my excitement's gone from about here all the way up to there now.
Well, you've got a lot more to come. Who knows? It's going to go through the roof. Those excitement levels of yours, Matt. Yeah, I felt pretty much nothing when it was announced, because at that point in time, it wasn't my Star Wars. I hadn't embarked on my animated Star Wars journey. I had a long time ago when I watched the Clone Wars movie, and that put me off what I thought was going to be for life. But here I am now, having seen the majority of the Clone Wars. So I actually personally felt nothing when they announced it, and then had to go into sort of a mad frenzy of binging as much as I could of the Clone Wars until it came out, and was pretty much doing that with I haven't seen all of the Clone Wars season 7 yet. I got as far as the first 4 episodes, which the Bad Batch obviously introduced, and that's their arc. So I really sort of had no time to sort of think about what's lying ahead. I went from those 4 episodes straight into episode 1 of the Bad Batch, but overall, pleasantly surprised by it all. So let's get a bit deeper into episode 2 specifically. We are now, if you're here and you haven't seen it and you are worried about spoilers, we are now going to introduce spoilers to the Chat Batch. Did that one work?
It worked. I saw that.
Am I on screen? Are you on screen?
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
seeing
so.
nothing.
I'm here for it.
Hopefully people can see us. I mean, maybe not. It could be an improvement, but
Maybe not. Oh, look, Jamie's off now. I'm going to have some shit.
I'll put myself back. Hang on.
I see 2 great haircuts.
I'm just getting a blank screen, but if you guys can see me, that's really all that matters. So right, yeah. I prepared that video along with the 30-second countdown as well, which I presume nobody saw. So anyway, as the siren suggests, you have to be alert now. Spoilers are coming. I'm still only seeing a blank screen, but anyway. So yeah, episode 2, cut and run. The crux of the episode is really the Bad Batch end up helping an old clone defector friend Cut get his family off the planet, which I believe is pronounced something along the lines of Salukame. Yeah, that sounded better, Matt. You can have that one. Now, I believe this. I saw, because I'm no good. I don't do deep dive videos, Easter egg videos, breakdown videos. I'm no good at this kind of thing first time round. But I saw from somebody else, and now I believe that we actually saw this planet briefly in Revenge of the Sith.
I want to say yes, or at least mention. I think Obi-Wan mentions that there was a skirmish, I think, on Salukami. I think that was when they were in the briefing room. It might have been when Anakin turned up late. I think I remember Obi-Wan saying it in his hunky accent.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it was just a reference, but it was sort of, anyway, in whatever article I read, it was kind of essentially classed as an Easter egg, if you like, a prequel Easter egg. And another one is the type of beast that we see. You told me about this, Matt, when we spoke the other day. That beast that almost attacks Omega did attack, not that exact one, but did attack Anakin in Attack of the Clones, right?
It was the Nexu, the big wolf thing. That was the one that slashed Padme's back in the arena.
That's it. Yeah. One of my favorite memories from our commentary is that scene. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Good plug for the commentaries there. Go and check out the Star Wars Sessions commentaries.
Can you see me winking, Jamie? Or can you not?
I can't see anything.
Oh my word. What?
I don't know what's going on.
I'm winking at all your watchers.
I can't see anything. Stop winking at my watchers. And also, Vigo, you stop it as well, all right? Yeah. So obviously we had the kind of the tease, if you like, at the end of episode 1 of them going to find a friend, to help them on their, navigate their way through this changing galaxy. When you realized that Cut, who we have met briefly in the Clone Wars before, was the mystery friend that they teased at the end of episode 1. Did that satisfy you, Luke?
Yeah, I did. It did, because I'm not expecting much else, to be honest. I'm not expecting like a major battle every episode. I'm not expecting like a huge cliffhanger every episode. At the end of the day, and I think Matty Boy and I said this in our first recap episode, at the end of the day, this is a show more geared toward kids. There's going to be lots and lots and lots of adults watching this, obviously, and loving it too, right? The whole family is going to enjoy it. But there is going to be a different pace. It's going to be a bit slower, and some of the points are going to take a bit longer to you're going to have a whole episode of, well, this is maybe why Hunter isn't quite this good at being a dad yet, but here's an episode to explain how he can get better at it. Mm-hmm. So that's my 2 pennies worth. But no, I thought it was a great start. But I know some people are a bit mixed on this episode.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Cut for me was I kind of vaguely remembered him from that episode in the Clone Wars, because it was a bit of a blur, my Clone Wars experience in a short space of time that I consumed the majority of it in. But yeah, the only thing that sort of, I mean, this isn't a big problem at all, but the only thing that kind of grated on me was, when we meet Cut in the Clone Wars, it's not with the Bad Batch. So them having that kind of that background, which is fine. I just found it a little bit kind of grating that this was all new to us, and it's Uncle Wrecker. So obviously they've got a big past together, and it was almost like we were supposed to know about this connection they already have, and that started me thinking, did I miss an episode? Where did this happen, or did it happen in the comic book?
It's a bit on the nose, isn't it? Because there are like billions of clones, right? So, and out of the billions of them, they're just, oh yeah, you're right, mate. Yeah.
Cut was supposed to be hiding, wasn't he? He's a deserter, so the only person who knew where he was Captain Rex. So it turns out that probably quite a few other people knew where he was as well, all except the people who are looking for him, the baddies.
Yeah, Glenn the Geeky Hippie has said that Stas Ali was killed on the planet in Revenge of the Sith. So we see it during the kind of Order 66 montage then of murder. The montage of murder.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Which, so, I mean, the crux is that they need to get off the planet, which now I say they need to. They come to the planet to try and get sort of help and advice from Cut, but it turns out Cut is preparing to go on the move because of the most of the introduction of the Empire. The war has sort of ended up on his doorstep. He is a defector himself, and getting off the planet becomes tricky because of chain codes. And this episode and the use of chain codes, for me, kind of represents what I'm enjoying most about the Bad Batch so far, and that is the quick transition from Republic to Empire, and that's really accelerated for me with the chain codes, because you really see the attack on everyday people's liberties, if you like, the oppressiveness of living under such a regime that really, it almost feels like it's just happened overnight, literally overnight, to these people, that they've got to now register for these chain codes to have access to things that they previously, were free to use, like shuttles to get you off the planet. So obviously Cut, being a defector, can't register for a chain code. Now, Hunter did offer Cut and family a ride out on the Bad Batch ship, which got onto the planet easily enough and safely enough. But at the time of the offer, the chain codes weren't known to Cut, so he felt actually that was more of a dangerous offer because obviously the Bad Batch are all wanted men as well. However, once the chain cuts were realized, I kind of feel like you could have just kept it simple and reverted back to Hunter's offer. They got on the planet easily enough, they can get off it easily enough as well, I'm sure. But that wouldn't now, in terms of the narrative, probably be as exciting. Yeah. So I found that a little bit kind of, that was on my mind. Again, not a big problem, but I enjoyed the whole chain code thing, I have to say, and I'm enjoying this seemingly quick transition from Republic to Empire. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, man, that was my favorite parts of this episode. I liked the action in it. That was fun. My favorite parts were either the moments with Little Omega, who I think is great, but also the transitional moments. So when they realise the chain codes have come into play, when Cut, who's already in a precarious position anyway, realises he's even more stuck now. I love that it aped back to Solo when they were in the line to get onto the shuttle and they need to get their chain codes quickly. Will they be let through? I liked all of that. Kind of the realization that, like you said, Jamie, that everything's changed now. Everything was bad enough for Cut and his family as it was, but now it's 10 times worse. Could they have gone and got back on the Bad Batch ship? Yeah, probably could have done, and it would have got them off quite quickly. But I like the fact that the reason this all came to be was so we could get that relationship with the Batch and Omega, mainly Hunter, but the rest of the guys are getting that avuncular relationship with her as well. So that's the main thing I enjoyed about this episode. But the transition stuff is rocking my socks, man. It really is.
Wow.
I really like it.
We can't see your socks right now, Matt. I'm glad
great.
they cut off. I can't see anything right now. So if he does whip his socks out, let me know, and I'll just visualize it.
Jamie is doing a Chirrut in way.
You kidding me?
Are you kidding me? I'm blind. No, right. What was I going to say? I tell you what, it was a bit convenient that they were like, "Hey, tech chain codes." He's like, "Yeah, I've just heard about them, but I can."
Yeah, I
do
know.
that."
What a naughty boy Tech is.
Yeah, I like tech, but it's convenient, right? But I like that this show is kind of like getting that out the way. It's like it's making sure, this ain't complicated, guys. We have a really smart guy. I mean, he's tech. He wears glasses. He must be super smart. We've spoken about that, haven't we, Matty Boy? That's why Matty Boy's intelligence.
You overestimate my intelligence.
It comes from his glasses.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know. Was that convenient? Yeah, sure it was. And there's stuff with the shuttle. Yeah, there's ways around it. But I think all in all, it is just a family friendly TV show. So I wouldn't expect something super convoluted from it. I think it's a pass, and I think it's a super charming show so far.
Yeah, and Tech did love the keychains, but from a good place, or the chain codes. I keep saying keychains, don't I?
Now
which is like a key ring, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely loved the chain codes, but from I think I was coming from a good place. He was just marveling at the idea, the technology of it. When I mentioned the article that I was reading, where I saw about the planet being shown briefly in Revenge of the Sith, which Glenn the Geeky Hippie has confirmed for us. I also, and I don't remember this, and I didn't have time to sort of double check it before coming on, but apparently chain codes were mentioned in Mando.
They were. It was for the Mandalorian armor. Do you remember when Boba wanted his armor back? He's like, "It belonged to my father," and he had his key. He said, "Look at this key. He has a chain code." He was showing him, and he had Jango Fett in on his chain code, and he had Boba was hard coded.
This is my father, Jango Fett.
That's it.
This is me.
That's pretty good, Luke. It's pretty good.
Thanks, man. I'm doing some work for Lucasfilm at the moment.
Yeah, he did some voice acting
impressions. Yeah,
that's it. The book of Boba Fett over there. Yeah, no, they mentioned it for Boba Fett. The Mandalorians, they put it in their Beskar now, so it can be traced back to its original owner, like a chip you put in a dog.
No, I like the little connections between various series. It doesn't matter the fact that 9 films have not mentioned, keychains or data chains, but or chain codes. But I do like connections when they come. Now, there's something that I saw from Chad just now in the chat. I'm doing that thing where I'm pretending to listen to my guests, but reading the chat at the same time because I can't multitask. It's not out of rudeness. It's not meant to be rude anyway. It's just my lack of multitasking skills. But I am a mere human man, with that therefore comes naturally to me. But Chad said something along the lines of this. Here it is. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm hopefully putting it up on screen for you. Chad said he's a little annoyed, but we are potentially mirroring a Mando learning from Baby Yoda's storyline. Now, Matt, we talked about this the other day. I came on the Star Wars Sessions podcast because Luke had better things to do, apparently. So I filled his boots as best as I could to talk about this episode for your podcast. And this is something we spoke about, and something I had concerns with. And I think you sort of you put me more at ease, Matt. There does seem to be a bit of mirroring, as Chad said, between the Din and Grogu relationship compared to the Hunter and Omega relationship, the kind of unlikely father learning from the child, if you like. And I think that's something that is, definitely proven to be a winning formula for The Mandalorian. And you do worry, Star Wars has done this before, Death Stars, that they are copying, pasting, from one to the other. However, you put my fears at ease a little bit, Matt, because there was something in this episode that suggested perhaps, that was a thing. They've laid the foundations of that thing, but at the same time, they nipped it in the bud 2 episodes in.
That's right. It was when Hunter said to Cut and Sue that he basically said, "You see that kid over there? You're having it." You're having that kid. There's nothing you could do about it. So when he offered the Omega to Sue and Cut, I remember thinking, okay, so he's trying to get rid of the kid, and then at the spaceport, he says, "You've got to go now. There's nothing I can do for you." And I thought, this is what Mando did to Baby. But then very quickly they nipped it in the bud, where she came back and said, "No, this is my place." And Hunter said, "If this is where you want to be, this is where you're going to be from now on." So we're not. So going forward, we're not going to get any more. I think anyway, any more doubting or Hunter trying to fob her off on people. So I think they've covered that now. But I was a bit worried, and I still am a bit that they will duplicate that because it worked for Mando.
It did work for Mando, and I personally think they should not do it again, and I hope they don't or are not doing it again. But I feel like you're right. I'm kind of hoping that it has been nipped in the bud, because the big thing about the sort of Din and Grogu, he was maybe a more unlikely father figure, perhaps, and there was more of a sort of slow burn with his softening, and then you had the kind of internal debate that he was having as to whether he should give up the kid. He didn't want to give up the kid in the end, but that decision's already been made. She's staying. She hasn't got a bigger quest, or bigger destiny, or has she? Like Grogu. And there's something, Luke. I'm seeing a lot of Amiga. I'm not on the socials much these days, but I do sort of pop on, and I'm seeing a lot of Amiga talk. I'm seeing a lot of Amiga theories. What do you think lies ahead for her in this series?
Well, I think really this family, this series is ultimately about family. I know someone's already commented that, and that's something that I mentioned and stood by firmly in our first recap, was that this is definitely going back to those roots about family. Dave Filoni was going on about that on the Mandalorian roundtables. He firmly believes that is the cornerstone of Star Wars mythology. And when we think about it, kid, let's think of little baby Annie, little Annie. Like little baby Annie was a kid who didn't have a dad. He just had his mum, who was a slave, right? It's about family. He's trying to look for his family. You think about Luke, right? He was from this family that was he didn't quite belong there. He knew he didn't belong there. It was quite difficult situation. You think of Ezra. Ezra was looking for a new family, right? Mm-hmm. All of this, and once again, the sequel trilogy stems from like a bad family in Kylo Ren, but that's a whole different.
And Rey Skywalker,
exactly. The search for family, And once again, so for me, I give this kind of thing a big pass because really, when we look back at this historically, we'll be like, well, it's just a very Star Wars theme. It's not just a Mandalorian theme. I think what Mandalorian has done is it's just handled it so well, and that's why we're picking up on it a lot more, right? And maybe it is a bit more obvious too, but I think with Omega, it's the search for family, right? She is the last Bad Batch. It's literally like her name, isn't it? It's a little nod to it, right? She is the last Bad Batcher, and I think this whole story is about her finding her destiny. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe she is a combination of all of their talents, their skills, something like that. And she's maybe going to be one of the most powerful clones. Maybe she was like a super clone they were developing or something like that. Yeah, something, I don't know.
There's something more than meets the eye here.
She's not Palpatine,
do you think, Matt, what do you think? Is she force sensitive at all?
I don't know. I've just seen what Chad wrote actually about how Star Wars is about family, but we know how you all felt about the end of Tross. I think in this instance, it makes sense because they literally are a family as such by genetics. Omega is a offshoot of Jango Fett, as are all of them. So she does actually belong, and they've always called themselves brothers. The clones are brothers. So Omega fits in that. Therefore, I don't find it odd whatsoever that they wouldn't want her around. But I think it's more obviously the can I be a father to her. So I don't think that's a problem. If she's force sensitive, man, that opens up a massive can of worms, doesn't it? Because part of me, I think about 30% of me thinks I think they're going to go down that route. Just whether I want them to, I don't know. But about 30% of me thinks they may try that just because for something different. We all ask for something different. If they try it, fine. It all depends how well they execute it. But I don't know. I don't think she will be, but I'm not willing to say definitely not.
Yeah, I kind of feel like maybe Tarkin would have been more sort of a bit more sort of I don't know, a bit more urgency around getting her off Kamino and taking her away. You know, if there was something, you know, related to Palpatine anyway, within her, if you like. I don't know. It all seemed a bit casual from an Empire point of view around her.
In episode 1, so not episode 1, there were a lot of kind of like winking glances at the audience every time somebody mentioned a special clone or the fifth member of the Bad Batch. It always cut to Omega's face. Now that we know that she is the fifth member, that's all stopped now. So it seems like they're trying not to put as much emphasis on what she could be. To me, it's more whether or not she can integrate, or the guys can change their way for her. So in the first episode, she was made out to be a bit like the Wraith in The Force Awakens, like who's the girl and all that kind of stuff. That's gone now. I feel it's more now. What can they all do together? And you know, I might be wrong here, but why haven't we seen any more female clones in canon, or you know, certainly that have been given this amount of scope?
Well, we know we know that she's part of a department in Kamino that is to do with the data or the specific
medical,
like medical. So, and that's interesting. Why is she there? She's a kid, and why? And what's interesting is she's been developed toward the end of the Clone Wars, right? Because I mean, she's literally younger than the other clones, and you don't see
she's the same age as Boba.
Is she really?
I think, give or take, she's about the same age as our boy Boba.
Yeah. So, and you think about that, like, there's not tons of those little bobbers running around. You know, we see a few of them in Clone Wars, but I just think it's funny that she must have been designed to be different. That's my inkling. And maybe it's the Kamino guys. They have something up their sleeve, or
there could be something there. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping there's obviously something. And now she is, you know, an official Bad Batcher. But I'm kind of hoping a bit like I'm hoping that they're not going down a sort of replicating of the Din and Grogu formula. I'm sort of hoping there isn't a force sensitive thing in this series. I personally, I won't be, you know, horrified if we get it, but I could quite happily do without that in this series. I do like her though as a character. She's not annoying, you know, at all. I think she's a really interesting character, and she's a fun character. And I enjoyed in episode 2, you know, this was her first sort of experience of life off Kamino, and she experienced, you know, the fresh air of the planet, the aforementioned planet. Yeah, the dirt. She got off on the dirt. She was loving the dirt, and when she was playing with Cut's children, they were playing the ball game, and I could really relate with her there because she caught the ball and she asked the question, "What is the purpose of this?" Which was basically me in every I said this to Matt the other day, every PE lesson, every sports lesson at school. That was me. I can relate to her. She's a really interesting character.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that about her. It's a very humane characteristic, really, to have, especially for a Litlan, you know, because it's easy to do, I don't know, kiddie characters as annoying, right? And I think
she's not.
She's not annoying. She's not annoying. She's actually just like a bit normal, and she's like, I want to stay with you because I like you. And it's like, it's that simple. Don't need to overcomplicate it.
There's a connection as well. They feel the connection, don't they? Hunter and her particularly, that they're from the same, you know, the same batch, the same clan, if you like.
What about, she's a medical assistant, right? Crosshair, he's a naughty boy. He's gone to the dark side now. He's Sniperhead. Our boy Sniperhead, Crosshair. He's been indoctrinated by the Empire now. Somehow they're probably going to meet him and need to get that thing out of his bonds. Who better than a medical assistant to maybe help out along the way?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, there we go.
Clever.
The theories. Oh, the theories. Hey, Matt. Say her name.
Omega.
Luke, say her name.
Omega.
Yeah, Omega. Omega.
Omega's an Americanism, isn't it? It's like schedule and schedule.
That's what Glenn's saying here. Why the Brits say Omega to like the Kiwis? We just do. That's how we were bred, man. That's how we were bred, man.
I just copy them on the show. They call her Omega, so it's stuck in my head now. Though I do notice it does go between Omega and Omega, but I have to try and consciously say Omega.
But that's like, that's one of the. Do you know what? Let's do it. Let's bring Solo back. Han and Han. They acknowledge it. They acknowledge it in the film. They're like, well, it's Han actually, but that's or whatever it was, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah, I like that. It can be either. Who cares? Like my missus, she's from your way, Jamie. I think like she's from the West Midlands. You're East Midlands, right? She says,
no, I'm West. West is best.
Oh, you're West as well?
Yeah, originally Coventry, mate. Originally, big COV.
Right. Blues. My missus, she's from the old big 0121. She is from Brum, but. Yeah. Anyway, she says grass, and I say grass. We both know what we're talking about. I don't tap her shoulder every time she says grass and go, "Hang on, love.
Come on, love. Come on.
It's grass."
What are you playing at here?
Scone or scone? Scone or scone?
Oh, scone.
Scone, isn't it?
Oh, Blywalker.
Boot him out. Question here from Philip.
Matt, you're not doing it properly. You're from the south.
Will the Comedians move against the Empire at some point, do you think, and be wiped out?
I was thinking about this today.
Yep.
I was thinking about this today. Who remembers the 2005 Battlefront game?
Yes, the uprising of that.
That's it. Yep. I'd love to see that. That would be amazing.
Well, so this happened. Something along these lines happened in Battlefront, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the 2005 one, right, Matt?
Yes, the original Battlefront, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, and so you had to play out a mission where you were stormtroopers, like early stormtroopers in the early Empire, and you were sent to Kamino to wipe out all of Kamino because they were starting to produce clones again. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, what happened to Kamino after the Empire? They could have just let them go, but as we found out in the first episode, the Kaminoans and the Prime Minister, they helped the Bad Batch out. They're withholding a bit of information from the Empire. One of them is Nala Say. The Prime Minister doesn't quite know that, but I know she knows it's her idea. So they're withholding information. So what happens when Sheev and Tarkin find out that Kamino are playing around behind their back? They're not going to be pleased. Plus, again, harking back to the first episode, I know I'm talking about that a lot, but it's set up so much. Tarkin was like, I'll be the judge of whether you continue producing these clones or not, because the Kaminoans want to, the Empire don't, because it's cheaper, and we know that the Empire like to rule with a iron fist and a planet destroyer. So I'm not saying they're going to blow the planet.
We know what happens, right? We know what happens. That's the interesting thing is how does this unfold? Because we know the journey.
It's like Rogue One, isn't it? We know what happens. How they got the plans? How do they get them? So I guess the question is obviously what's going to happen to the boys at the end of it. But yeah,
and that's something David Milano put this in the chat a long time ago, and I hadn't forgotten about it. But he said the closer the Bad Batch crew gets to being mercenaries, the happier I am with the show. Great start. I'm really looking forward to the possibilities. Do you think this is a one season, one and done type thing, or do you think this could go on?
No,
I think it's multi-series. I think it is. Yeah,
multi-series, man.
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I can see this being at least 4 seasons. I mean, they're going to be looking back at all of their animated shows and they're going to say, do you know what? Clone Wars are very popular. We have a whole generation of kids who grew up with Clone Wars as their Star Wars, right? They didn't even see the prequels in the cinema. They weren't old enough. Or maybe they just caught Revenge of the Sith. And that's their Star Wars. And that's a huge market. I hate to get like businessy about it, but it's a huge market. You go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, there are these kids now they're cosplaying as clone troopers. They're not cosplaying as anything else. There's look, we got a little clone with us.
I can't see a thing, so you're gonna have
Jamie
to
can't see.
Treat me like this is a radio show. I'm listening to the radio right now.
Yeah. Well, that's
is that Matt? Is that Matty's clone?
Yeah, we've got Matty's little clone. We've got his own little Omega, or as he says, Omega.
That's my little Omega.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Oh, what were you saying? What were we talking about? Hang on.
I don't know.
Going on about?
Who cares? Silly, isn't it?
There's going to be loads. There's going to be loads. 4 seasons.
Frogger doesn't have high hopes for the people of all the things of Camino, purely to the fact that they sent Tarkin there, known clone hater and not a fan of non-humanoids. So he's pretty sure that Camino is, because the little ones there, I'll just say, in trouble.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm thinking about. Is that I don't know whether they're going to wipe out the Kaminoans or just send them a message somehow, or they're going to set up a garrison, deploy the garrison on Camino, and take control like they did Cloud City in Empire, something like that. But I'll be interested to see just how far they want to take it, because I mean they could try and destroy the planet somehow, do a little test of something in a prototype weapon. But I don't think they're going to go that far. I think it's going to be. I think they'll just try and overtake the planet and shut down all the facilities.
Yeah, it's not like it's a big city planet, is it? There's only like a couple flipping platforms on a sea, isn't it? It's like
I want to see what goes.
It's like Radio Caroline, isn't it? You know all about that, didn't you, Jamie? It's like the old boat that rocked all the pirate.
Yeah, I imagine it was just like what I'm experiencing, what they were experiencing back then. I imagine they were just the same. And I'm just sitting in a room on my own. I can't see anyone, but I can hear. That's the main
You're
thing.
looking good.
It's the same thing.
Luke, 1/4 portion. Luke, his eldest son adores Wrecker. Now, Wrecker, I have to say, from those 4 episodes in the Clone Wars, he annoyed me. Wasn't really a fan of him, but he's grown on me in these 2 episodes so far in the Bad Batch. Uncle Wrecker, sorry. Jack Campbell, I would enjoy this to be a 1 season. I just presumed it was a 1 season, to be honest. I didn't know they'd announced it's multi-season. But if they can keep it going this strong, I'm along for the ride. Well, they pulled it off with the Clone Wars, which got better and better as it went along. Right, let's start to wrap this up with some sort of final thoughts. I'm going to bring in, hopefully you'll be able to see this, even though I definitely won't be able to. Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Can you see it? Okay, this is a poll that I did on the channel just yesterday. So at the moment, I can't see. Can you tell me the scores?
Yeah.
I asked the question, what do people think of the Bad Batch episode 2? Can you read out the scores to me, please?
We got with a strong 53% with a majority. It was great. Heart face.
Oh, coming in the second place at 32%. It was okay.
All right, we're going with this voice now. Bad by name, bad by nature. It's 1% with a poo emoji.
and 14% just haven't seen it yet. So lots of people love it by looks of it.
The majority at least like it. It's strong remarks. 1% did you say for didn't like?
Yeah,
Yes.
1% bad by name, bad by nature. Mad.
But bad by nature could be good. They're meant to be bad by nature, aren't they? But in a cool kind of way.
Yeah, that's
two
it.
people didn't like it. If my maths serves me well there, so
How many voters?
274.
274. Yeah,
2 or 3 people didn't like it.
I'm not doing the maths, or just for Glenn, the math. Yeah, it's the math.
Oh,
answer in the comments.
So just to wrap this up from you both, what would you give this episode out of 10? And let us know in the chat as well. What would you give episode 2 cut and run marks out of 10? Luke.
Probably a 7.1 or so. No, just a 7. 7 out of 10. It was good.
Matt.
Yeah, I flip-flopped between 7 and 7.5 on our recap. I think I'd give it a 7.5 because there wasn't anything I didn't like about it. It wasn't as strong as the season opener, though.
Yeah, we've got a 7.5 here from Chad Campbell. Matty Stokes. That's not Matty Stokes. That's Glenn, who's giving it a 7. Not sure where this has come from, but that's not Frogger's score. But yes, you're right. Nobody should be doing Mev. But Matty Stokes gave it 6.5 out of 10. And you know what? I'm with Mr. Matthew of Stokes here. I'm also giving it a 6.5 out of 10, which I always think people sort of jump on as being negative, but 5's average. 5's average, man. This is nicely above average. So I'm with Matthew Stokes there. Luke 1/4 portion is 7 out of 10. As is Roman Dude 12. A lot of 7s. You were 7, weren't you, Luke?
Yeah, I'm 7.
Clay's is with you. It was a 7.5, I think, from Matt. Lowest score coming in is a 6 out of 10 from Frogger. But again, 5 is average.
Good. It's good.
60%.
I love democracy.
Not brave enough for
So
politics.
finally, I'll keep an eye in case any more scores come in. But finally, what are you expecting from? Because episode 1 gave us that clear sort of, plot of where we're going next. They're going to find a friend who can help them. Episode 2 just kind of ended. Really, I don't feel like there was much of a carrot dangled in front of us plot-wise of things to kind of speculate. Where do you think episode 3 is going to take us?
The plot twist was this was the season finale. That's one.
There we go.
That's one. I think that's one. Nothing happened.
2 undone.
Judging by the trailers, they go into a built-up Coruscant-like city. Fennec Shan's coming after them. So what's been set up is they're on the run. So the Bad Batch are on the run now. The Empire will know about them after what happened on Seleucami. So I don't really know what's going to happen in the next episode. I think the next one will be more of another kind of transition episode of they've got to find somewhere to settle. The Empire know they're there and they've maybe got to fight their way out. So I'm not expecting huge things just yet. But if they can give me another episode like this where it just pushes things along nicely, I'll be satisfied with that. I don't need big things every episode.
Yeah, it's not really about that, right? We're going to have, probably what's considered filler, but we're going to get some character development. We're going to get some just family antics. That's what this show is, right? It is a bit like a space sitcom that's animated. And I'm here for it, as long as we don't get flying droids in space like we did in Star Wars Rebels, then, I'm pretty.
Oh, you've spoiled it for me. I've not seen Rebels yet.
You've not?
Watch Resistance instead.
Yeah.
You've spoiled it, man.
Yeah.
But presumably, like David Milano said earlier, they're becoming mercenaries. They're going to start getting jobs, right? That's already been hinted at anyway, hasn't it? In one of the trailers, someone told me.
I really just want to see the transition of clones to stormtroopers. Like, are the Bad Batch affected by the the accelerated growth? There's a good chance that maybe it doesn't work on them. It works on all the regs, but the Bad Batch they live a normal lifespan maybe. So we're going to start seeing the regs retire, get old. They're going to get replaced, and how does that affect the Bad Batch? How does that affect them and their relationship with, as Matty Boy said earlier, their brothers? This can go a lot of ways, and if they play their cards right, this could be not only just the best opening season to a Star Wars animated show, which I think it already is when we compare it to season 1 of Clone Wars, season 1 of Rebels, and the other one. No hate to resist. No, do you know what? Yes, a bit of hate to Resistance, but nevertheless, I think we're in a good place, man. We're in a good place.
Yeah. I kind of want to. I don't know what's going to happen in the next episode. I like, what David said earlier. As they become more mercenaries, and find their place in the galaxy. I want to care about them more because I don't not care about them. I've already told you that Wrecker's growing on me. I think Hunter's becoming a more interesting character as well. But I'm really at the moment all about seeing the things happening around them in terms of that transition that we've talked about from Republic to Empire. That's true. At the moment what I'm kind of there for. So I'd like that to continue, but at the same time, I'd like to start to care more about the Bad Batch themselves. But I have been, 2 episodes in, like I say, 2 of them I care more about. So, and I think obviously something's coming with old Crosshair. There's going to be a clash at some point. Luke, 1/4 portion. Thank you for the super chat. I will pass that on to Luke Blywalker, and he can put it towards his next Mackie D's, and hopefully next time he'll finish it before he comes on a live stream.
Hopefully, I just got in, Jamie, and you gave me permission. I thought, you know what?
I did.
While the screen's been off, I have been sneaking in a few chippies.
You may well have been.
I can, yeah.
I'm just going to read out some final comments from Matthew Stokes here. I think we'll see more of Crosshair in episode 3. Surely Tarkin will task him with hunting them down. I agree with that, and I'm up for that as well. They'll need to remind us he's the ever-present baddie that could show up at any point. I think they are strong points from Matthew Stokes.
The biggest baddie we're going to get. I don't think we're going to see him, the Papa Palps. I don't think we're going to see Vader or anything like that. I think Tarkin is our overlord here.
Yeah, and like Philip says here as well, there's going to be surely a more interesting way of transitioning from clones to stormtroopers rather than just shutting down the clones and bringing in the stormtroopers. So maybe, like Philip said, there could be something more there. Do they try to act against the Empire? They use the clones. Yeah, maybe they try to turn the clones against the Empire.
That's an interesting shout. Yeah, and that's kind of again what they were leaning toward in 2005 Battlefront. It was kind of that line of thinking that the Kaminoans were kind of doing their own thing. They were getting too strong for that. They weren't in the jurisdiction of the Empire, right? And what military would do that? Especially in Star Wars, what military would like privatize their army? They wouldn't. Yeah. No one's going to do that. For a quick solution in the Clone Wars, hey, that might work, but not for the long game. For the long game, they need those stormy imps, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a short-sighted nature of the Empire, because the Clone Wars showed us one thing: the clones got the job done. The clones get it done, whereas the stormtroopers, not really. The only thing they did was kill Luke's aunt and uncle. That's really about it.
That's it. And one of them connected with a door successfully.
Should make a documentary about that.
Hey, someone should. And Luke, 1/4 portion. No, thank you. Thank you again for that super chat. And just going to flag up Crosby. Crosby, this is a new stream for Mondays where we're going to look back at the Bad Batch episode that came out on the Friday, but Thursday's stream, the Geeknd Live, where we talk not just Star Wars, will still live on. So we'll be back on Thursday with that. But I think that's good. I think that's good. David has done the message that is going to trigger the end of the stream. He said, awesome stream today, fellas. Jumped in late. What? But thoroughly enjoyed it. Jamie, give my regards to the distinguished Mr. Ramirez. What? I will do that. I will go and do that right now. So thank you, everybody who's joined us in the chat. And also, if you're watching in the future as well on the replay, I hope it's all good out there in the future. And thank you to Luke and Matt from Star Wars Sessions podcast for joining us. I have put all the links to where people can find you in the video description, your website, and I think your Twitter and something else as well. Hello, Marco, right at the end, mate. But do you want to just, for anybody who's meeting you for the first time, just give us a couple of lines on what Star Wars Sessions is all about?
Go on, Luke.
Yeah, right. We're a weekly podcast. We post a new episode of our show at 8 p.m. every Wednesday. We cover loads of topics. And yeah, every single week there is a show. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, a lot. We got a cool website, starwarsessions.co.uk. And we are also covering the Bad Batch at the moment. The Bad Batch recap drops every Friday afternoon, a few hours after the Bad Batch premieres on Disney Plus. So we got it covered. We love it.
It's really good.
It is probably Britain's greatest Star Wars podcast. Once again, their words, not mine. But
probably.
I kind of agree. So thank you to you both, Luke and Matt from Star Wars Sessions, for joining us. And thank you to everybody in the chat. Some of you have just arrived at the end, but you can watch back on the replay. You'll see more than me. I can't see anything right now, which you'll learn about if you do watch on the replay.
We're facing the wrong way.
But thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. We love it.
Thank you. So I will. I'll see you guys on Thursday, and Luke and Matt. I'll talk to you when I click end broadcast. Probably. Let's see if that works. All right. Let's see if I can actually end the broadcast. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks, Jamie.